Why is the tea ceremony so slow? Why is the tea ceremony performed so slowly? When we encounter the Japanese tea ceremony and its methodic grace, we're so captivated by the beauty of everyday movements orchestrated around a bowl of tea that we forget to ask the most obvious question of all. Why is it so bloody slow? When Robbo, Davo or Shazza comes over for a cuppa, I can whip up a bowl of matcha in the kitchen in a skerrick of the time it takes in the tea ceremony. Skerrick is Australian English for a very small amount of time. Why make some poor bastard sit through an excruciatingly anal retentive indulgence of time just for a bowl of tea? And yet, even complete newbies sense it. Something important is happening here. The pace seems meaningful, as if something usually concealed is being revealed. We feel the depth, but don't ask why. So let's get stuck into this good and proper. Why the bloody hell is the tea ceremony so slow? Spoiler alert, my conclusion is that Chanayu is Dogen's temporality made visible. Allons-y. Instrumental time. Everyday life runs on what I call instrumental time. Time treated as a tool, a resource, a means to an end. What's next? What do I get from this? How long will it take? Are we there yet? Please reply ASAP. Our everyday time is getting so compressed that it demands a kind of sickly urgency that demotes beings of immeasurable value, you and me, into units of measure. We become users, engagement metrics, or patience build in 10-minute intervals. We have social media feeds with content and content creators. Instrumental time is also linear time, the timeline of goals and deadlines, relentlessly forward-facing and future-driven. You do X for the sake of Y. The present is a stepping stone towards the next thing. We inhabit this calculating mindset and project ourselves into the future for most of our waking lives. No wonder we're exhausted and can never get ahead. Entering the tea room, the shift to layered time. But then, after work, you go to tea ceremony practice. Bow at the threshold, slide onto the tatami, and something shifts. Time transforms into a silent, sea-like massivity that quenches a primordial thirst. Time becomes depth, a still point that doesn't hurry toward a future or cling to a past. You've entered what I call layered time. Your body registers it before your intellect explains it. Your nervous system already knows layered time is the time of presence. Tea time is not clock time. Something here is fully alive. Layered time does not equal cyclical time. It's tempting to confuse layered time with cyclical time, the time of the seasons, yugas, and eternal return. The spiral staircase of cyclical time is defo a helpful contrast to the flat linear. But Chanayu is not a cycle. Chana-yu is ichigo ichie, one encounter for all time. While a formal tea gathering has a 4-part structure that mimics the seasons, sumi, kaiseki, koicha, and usucha, the goal isn't to reenact a cycle. Rather, it's about multiple dimensions of experience coexisting in the moment. In the tea room, the past is present in the handmarks of the clay bowl, the wood in the walls, the age of the hanging scroll. The present is the warmth of the fire, the breath you take, the sound of water and smell of incense. The future is the guest about to receive the tea, the courtesy I must show, the possibilities I must accommodate. And interwoven within these dimensions of time, harmony is the ground, nature is the subject, practice realization is the work, purity is the spirit, no borders is the ethic, and aesthetic is the language. This big burger of 2 old beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun inhabits a single being time. Now, the tea room is its wellspring. Thank you very much to Aya, who shared this piece from Wind in the Pines in the Discord group the other day. Tea flowers. The pure presence of tea as time is exemplified by chabana, funnily enough, flowers in the tea room alcove. Though cut from root and soil, the flower standing in the vase thoroughly manifests its fundamental nature. Does this in a way that brings us to tears, really. To paraphrase Nishitani Keiji, the flower before death has been cut off from the concepts of time that occur in life and stands in the timeless present. Its evanescent existence of a few days becomes a momentary point in which there is no arising, no perishing. For the time being, it is being time. Firewood and ash. In the Genjo Koan, Dogen writes, using Brad Warner's translation in Don't Be a Jerk here, firewood becomes ash and cannot go back to being firewood again. But we should not think of firewood as its past and ash its future. Both firewood and ash have their own position in time and space. Although before and after exist, past and future are cut off. This is so hard for modern humans to understand. I can't even. We habitually structure our experience in sequences and timelines and cycles at best. Seed, shrub, tree, firewood, fire, ash, earth, seed, shrub, tree, firewood, fire, ash. But Dogen refuses. This, like Chana-yu, refuses clock time. Firewood is firewood in its entire reality, with its own before and after that do not touch it. Ash is ash in its entire reality, with its own history that likewise does not touch it. There's no conveyor belt, no instrumentality, no becoming, no perishing. For Dogen, the only reality we experience is the present moment because the past is already gone and the future has not come yet. Shohaku Okumura says, there is no actual unit of time we can say constitutes the present moment. The present moment does not exist and therefore time itself does not really exist. There is no actual unit of time we can say constitutes the present moment. The present moment does not exist, and therefore time itself does not really exist. Still, from the present moment, which is empty and does not exist, the entire past and the entire future are reflected. The past influences us through memories, habits, and our experiences, but the past is already gone. We hold the future as the container of our hopes, wishes, vows, ambitions, and goals. But the future has not come yet. If we are caught up in the past, we are afraid to change. If we put too much emphasis on what will come, this moment becomes merely a means to reach the future, and our lives become meaningless if we do not reach our goals. Dogen says that we can accept our present condition and work to change conditions for the future as practice in the present moment. We can accept our present condition and work to change conditions for the future as practice in the present moment. This is the meaning of although there is before and after, past and future are cut off. This means that in our Chana Yu, each gesture is complete. Nothing is on the way. Chana Yu is slow because, like the title of Okamura's book, it is realizing Genjo Koan. The Temai is not a timeline, it is a series of time points. The ash paradox. There's a saying in Chana Yu, you might not know it. If a tea person's house catches fire, they flee carrying the ash. So the first thing you decide to escape your burning house with is the ash in your hearth. That's the most valuable thing, in other words. When I first heard this, I demanded further explanation from Sensei. You mean to say that the ash in the hearth is more valuable than the kettle that rests above it? Or the priceless Tenmoku tea bowl over there? The reasoning was revealing. The hearth ash is lovingly tended for at least 12 years before it achieves. 12 years was the time I got. Before it achieves its ethereal, deep purple and burnt persimmon juice glow. It is rinsed with tea and dried each summer, kept damp and dark through countless winters, watches countless tea gatherings rise and settle. It has a long history. But here's the key. Its value isn't in its biography. Its value is in its present perfection. The tea master doesn't save the ash because of the timeline that produced it, but because nothing else can replace the present condition of that ash. The maturity of the ash is linear, the value is vertical. Each gesture in the Temai resembles the value of the ash. The student repeats the actions over and over and over and over for years. The same actions their sensei mastered and their sensei before them, and so on, all the way back to the founder of the school. The maturity of the gesture is linear, but the value is vertical. Arrived, complete, transcendent through the ages. So why is the tea ceremony so bloody slow? We've come a long way towards understanding why the tea ceremony is so slow. But we're not there yet. As we've recognised, most of the day we live in instrumental, linear, utilitarian time. What's next? How long? How do I get from this? We've said that tea refuses all this noise. Slow the fuck down and chill the fuck out. Tea thereby exposes what the speed of life conceals. So when Robbo, Davo or Shazza comes over for a cuppa, I can whip up a bowl of matcha in the kitchen in a skerrick of the time it takes in the tea ceremony. But the speed deletes the beauty of the process and the integrity of everything involved. Actions blur into each other. I pick up the tea towel to wipe the bowl while I'm still rinsing it and start walking over to the matcha while I'm wiping with the tea towel and chuck the tea towel on the bench while I'm putting the chaman down with the other hand. While I'm snatching at the chashaka while I'm searching for the matcha with the other hand, etc. The purpose of our every action is to be a springboard to the next one. What a shit way to exist. It's never done in the present because our mind is insatiably calculating into the future. The tea room relaxes the whole affair to the point where each action becomes visible and dignified again. Slowness lets the mind notice what hurried life ignores. The colour of this is something that happened today. The colour of the matcha from powder to wet with hot water to half mixed to an oily glowing paste to koicha in its fullness served to guests to a green sheen on an empty bowl. The steam rising from the bristles of the chasen. The feel of the ceramic as I take the lid from the mizusashi. The ring of the chawan under the love tap of the chashaku. The sound and feel of the fukusa whipping millimetres over the tatami. Standing the hishaku up. Opening the kama. In modern life, actions are driven by telos. I do X in order to get to Y. This moment is only meaningful because of the next one. We drive the car to get to work, we work to get money, we get money to buy food, we buy food to eat, we eat to live, and so on. Chani refuses this logic. The deliberate pace disarms futurity, disarms the future, thinking about the future. It cuts the chain. You fold the fukusa to fold the fukusa. You purify the chasen, not to clean it before whisking tea, but to purify the chasen. You lift the kettle lid to lift the kettle lid. Although there is before and after, past and future are cut off. If I may use beauty to bolster the truth of my words, think of how photogenic the tea ceremony is. Fair dinkum, you could photo any moment of the temai and it would be beautiful. Every frame in the movie is epic. But 90% of the footage from the chaos in the kitchen where Robbo, Davo and Shazza comes over would need to be edited out from the final cut. Beauty is the evidence that in Chana-yu, the Japanese of old found a way to express the truth of Dogen's being time. And there's an ethical dimension to end on. When the moment is no longer a means towards something else, attention becomes pure. This is how Dogen's temporality becomes Simone Weil's tenderness. Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity, said Weil, recognising that real, undivided attention deepens time, and when time deepens, attention becomes generosity. In Chana-yu, each gesture is the offering. Each placement of utensils is a moment in which host and guest give each other the one thing modern life almost forbids: undivided attention. Ichigo, ichie. Dogen's temporality is the single most important dimension of tea practice. More acute than aesthetics, more essential than etiquette, more profound than anything spiritual. Because once we understand, as Shohaku Okamura says, that the present moment has no length, and time is what our minds create to understand change, suddenly Chanryu stops being a cultural art and becomes a gateway to understanding the self, while including all the other cool shit. It gives us the liberty to inhabit linear time while we're preparing for a tea gathering, cyclical time while we're cooking for tea, choosing our ingredients and selecting utensils, and to be time during the temai. To practice tea is to practice your relationship to time.